religiously, I've been doing my best to avoid the Last of Us TV show, mainly because seeing as I knew how the second game ended, I wasn't really holding high hopes for the original. Then when I found out that we're going to race swap Joel and we're then going to have Bella Ramsey play Ellie, I was even less enthusiastic. Then when we watched, I think it was episode 3, and we got a bit of background to Bill, and we got no time with him and Joel, or him and Ellie, and that dynamic was completely cut from the story. I decided, fuck this show, it's not getting an ounce of my time. Then season 2 came out, and someone from my work was talking about it, and they said how angry they are that they killed off the only good character. I wonder who that could be. Oh, it was Joel. When you think about the vast mistakes that this franchise has made, killing Joel is probably at the top of the list. Now, I do love me a bit of Joel, right? I mean, if there was a man crush out there between him, Kratos, and Arthur, and you know which Arthur I'm talking about, Joel Miller is probably one of the best video game characters there is, and he got killed off less than an hour into his sequel by being beaten to death with a golf club with his hands bound and his legs shot off. Oh wow, so amazing. So it's finally nice to see that everyone that was telling me to get the fuck over it about 5 years ago is now going through the same pain as me. But maybe call it morbid curiosity. I decided to watch a bit of the second season, and oh dear God, I didn't know you could make Last of Us Part 2 even worse, but here we have it. But first, let me hit you with the 200 gram sarcastic protein and 18 holes of vengeance version of The Last of Us 2. This is Abby the Games Goblin Anderson. Wait, she's not Jack now? Oh, for fuck. Right, okay, so this is the low test creatine free storyline, alright? This is Abby, cut season Anderson, formerly a Firefly, current WLF soldier, and part time PGA Tour serial killer. Her dad was this nice giraffe whispering Stadak, and Joel turned him into a brain smoothie back in part 1. So now Abby's swinging back, literally. So after years of not chugging protein powder and maxing out her bench press and unlocking Deadlift of Vengeance perk before heading off to track down Joel, for justice and not just for free cardio. Once she finds him, she doesn't kill him, no. That'd be too emotionally healthy. Instead, she decides to drive her 9-iron straight through the fandom's heart, teeing off on Joel's skull in one of the most rage-inducing scenes in modern gaming. That's right. That Joel and One thing everyone was talking about, that happened. Joel's final boss is Top Golf, the Bloody Edition. Yeah, I didn't think we could get a worse Joel than Joel and One, but here we are. Ah, hang on, there we go. There's a plot twist too. Now you play as Abby. What a surprise. All that gym membership is finally paid off. The gym membership that you don't indulge in. You get to swing through Seattle with biceps so big they have their own cutscenes, and guns so goddamn massive they need their own permits. You bench press trauma, snort steroids of vengeance, and rescue kids from cults while Ellie wants to hunt you down like the last pre-workout scoop on Earth. By the time it's over, Abby survives several boss fights, 15 protein bars, 2 moral crises, a punching bag shaped like player expectations, and a violent, unscheduled bench workout where she becomes incredibly shrunk. And in the final act, she fucks off at the horizon, probably to join CrossFit or something in Catalina and haunt Ellie with gains related regret. But at least we can be happy for one thing, is none of that stuff is actually gonna fucking happen because Abby is normal sized. So I'm gonna have to rewrite all of that summary without the gains. But I hope you kind of understand what I'm saying. And even fucking better, if anyone understands what happens next in this scene, you'll be very, very, very much glad that Abby actually looks like a normal human when it happens. Apart from judging Neil Druckmann for putting this scene into his game, I also heavily judged Owen. Well, for this obvious reason, but I might be able to see his logic.
Say any port in a storm, and she was the size of a fucking bull. I know what you're up to. You think because she's so massive, she'll count as 2 shags? Well, she doesn't.
I take it all back. Owen, you're a genius. now we can get back to dissing the crap out of how terrible Last of Us Part 2 is. So we have all the plot contrivances under the sun. We have Abby getting rescued by Joel in the middle of a blizzard in inverted commas, and then Dina shouts his name out, which results in Joel being discovered. Then Joel decides during the massive flock of infected, and when you look closely, you'll see this extra who is, oh my, fuck off. I hate it when that happens. This guy gets distracted and is quite clearly not, I hate being popular, clearly not a member of the infected, just a really badly trained extra, and sticks out like bollocks on a bulldog. And then all the infected change direction and run into each other and do some weird stuff. I mean, at this point, if I was Joel or Dina, considering that they're both meant to be survivalists, I immediately would have pushed Abby off the horse. Better luck next time, you dumb cunt, laters, or would have taken her back to Jackson. Under zero circumstances would I have gone back to their area where they were holed up and for whatever reason, because for all I know, these could be people that want to beat me to death with a golf club or want to inject my friend Dina with baby batter and then do whatever else to her once she's unconscious. Then, when my surrogate daughter comes in to help me out, they then torture her and do whatever else. Well, lucky that wouldn't happen. Oh, wait, that does happen. Then, after Joel dies, he gets wrapped up in a blanket after Ellie cries over him, and he's dragged behind a horse and most certainly dragged through horse shit because horses tend to shit quite a lot, and he's right behind one of them. Wow, how respectful for the main character of the previous game, and one of the reasons why The Last of Us is such a staple. Cool. Hopefully, I can get through this one without my friends rudely messaging me. Who am I kidding? I have no friends. So, we then have the Jackson attack with all the runners, clickers, etc., etc. And then we got the flamethrowers, the dogs, the bloater, and Tommy nearly dying, and then his wife saving the day with all these trained dogs. And it's a mess. See if you compare this to a fight like the Battle of the Bastards. The Battle of the Bastards looks like at least they're trying, whereas this is fucking awful. And I'm going to tell you why it's awful, not from a tactical point of view, but from a cinematic point of view. So, from a tactical point of view, ideally you want to take out the biggest threat, which would be the bloater, before it breaks in, and you'd want to use something else to slow them down instead of having open streets. So, if all you've got to do is basic survival and letting in as many refugees as possible, there's a little bit more that you can do. Maybe making the area defendable. So, what I would personally do is I would have plenty of blockades that you can, in fact, set on fire or do whatever to slow everything coming in and make it impossible for the infected to reach you. And somehow the infected managed to reach people on the roofs of this building. I would also think as well, instead of using ammunition, which I know they can build more of, but I would use something different, like maybe a ballista, which would only require you make, well, use up wood and small amounts of metal, and you can recycle the metal after you've destroyed them. So I would have a few of them sat about, along with items I could set on fire and everything else. Using dogs is also a bit of an iffy scenario. It's mainly quite a double edged sword because how do you know dogs can't get infected? Maybe they figured that out with their own trial and error, or maybe they've managed to make the dogs immune somehow. God knows. I mean, fuck it. You know, it's kind of like in The Walking Dead. Remember, the horse just got scranned by the zombies and it didn't become a zombie, but this is cordyceps, which isn't a virus, it's a fungus, and it infects insects and arachnids as well as human beings. So, somewhere along that line, you'd think maybe it could also affect other mammals like dogs, who knows, maybe deer, cats, everything, maybe even rats, and you've got a serious problem. Or maybe even flyers like birds. Maybe there's something else that can go on. But according to the show and the universe, it doesn't affect dogs. So dogs end up becoming a viable defense strategy. But how do you know that they're so mega well trained that they'll only kill the infected? That's a really big if, because your people are still out there. High chance that the dogs would jump one of them, especially consider the amount of panic and chaos. I mean, you expect human beings to keep cool heads in that scenario, but I guarantee a person would have shot another person thinking it was an infected in that kind of scuffle. It happens, especially when you're not very well trained. Anyway, where was I? The biggest bit of bullshit within that story is Tommy, right? So Tommy stood there with his flamethrower, and I can roll with the fact that his flamethrower is unrealistic because real flamethrowers send jets of fire fucking miles, but you've only got about 15 seconds of them. So it's a bit like me with my wife. And the flamethrower lasts for ages, barely squirts anywhere, and ends up saving his life after he toasts this bloater. However, before he's revealed to have a pistol, and he's running through the infected to get close to the blower to lure it in, none of the infected seem to go for him except for the paltry half dozen. And when he gets the blower's attention, he runs through Jackson and realizes he's caught himself in one of the barricades and can't get out anywhere. Which I don't believe because Tommy should know this fucking town like the back of his hand, and that's a serious tactical misstep to get lost in your own fucking base, mind you. And when he's cornered with a bloater and gives it a good amount of fire, when his flamethrower runs out, instead of deciding to play a bit of cat and mouse and move around it and dance and try and get behind the bloater and escape, or even climb up this debris just behind him, he decides he's going to lie there and die and just accept what's going to happen to him, which isn't a pretty sight. He doesn't even draw his pistol and attempt to break away at the fungus on its head with a few rounds. No, he just lies there and accepts death. I mean, this is Tommy we're talking about. This guy was not just a Firefly, he was one of the best Fireflies. He was like known as the best fighter. He's also Joel's brother and arguably as dangerous as he is. What was to believe in the game was Tommy was dangerous over long distance, Joel was dangerous over short distance, but Tommy was also a really good hand to hand fighter, so he was a fucking threat. And here he is just pussing out and giving up because there's a bloater in front of him after dealing with 20 years of this type of shite, but whatever. Ugh, I think I've ranted enough on that one, don't you think? Nope, you'd be wrong. Reference the guy in that kind of yellowy tan desert color jacket. He's not even got his weapon in his fucking shoulder and he takes several shots. That's just another point of how unfucking trained these people are. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the infamous scene, but this is going to be quite difficult because I'd just be repeating what everybody else has said 1,000 times. I'm also not going to show the infamous scene because, well, for monetization reasons, if this video ends up doing better than I expected to, I don't want to end up losing out, and I need to fund my crippling olive oil habit somehow. So the scene happens pretty much the same way it does in the game, except Joel's a bit more of a passive character here. Instead of Tommy getting pistol whipped and knocked out, Dina's instead injected with baby gravy by Mel after she's trying to give her best bedside manner, and we're supposed to be reassured that Dina is in fact still breathing by Abby. Instead of Tommy giving the game away, it is Dina on horseback yells his name out, considering the amazing coincidence that Abby's able to find the two of them, and at the right moment, Dina even comes in clutch and says her name for him. So, wow, double lucky. Abby also has to make the decision to follow through with her the act of destroying Joel, even though he just saved her life from almost certainly a very violent death. Also, want to say after the three of them managed to escape all the clickers, runners, etc., you'd think that Joel, being Joel, would either take him straight back to Jackson or would just push Abby straight off the back of the horse. But no, they don't. Also, as well, this is a bit of a nitpick of mine, but you can kind of tell there's a very obvious extra in within this pack of runners. It's the big bearded guy. Just generally watch the scene and tell me what you think. He just seems very out of place, and they pretty much got stage direction from someone mid scene, mainly because he stops dead instead of bumping into people like a zombie would. But I'll let you guys decide. Someone tell me I'm not crazy. I'm not the only one that noticed that, right? Anyway, then we have the scene. Seth gives a speech, and he sounds like Joe Biden if Joe Biden gave a fuck, and it's actually, a really good speech. It's about defending our town and everything else, and if you don't do that, then you just embolden them, etc. And anyone that's against revenge, in my honesty, is the one that fears its consequences. Revenge is a fairly normal human thing to do. That's the reason why we have prisons and shit. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. Then the show has the hospital scene, which I didn't think could possibly get more stupid than the game managed it. Because if you think about it, aside from what happens with Ellie, Abby doesn't actually need to visit the hospital full stop because the game then kills off Yara, which was the whole reason why she went on that giant suicide mission, took out the Rat King, etc., etc., only for her actions to not mean anything in the first place. So, cool, I guess. But somehow the show decides that instead of having the tendril idea where the horde knows exactly where you're at if it touches, it also wants to go into the spore idea where if you breathe in the spores, you're dead. The infected create the spores, etc., etc. So the Auntie Joel over here decides that she's going to tell you all about how she left her son down there to breathe in all the spores, but it's fine because we've locked everything down and the hospital's as airtight as your mum right now. So there's no chance of the spores somehow climbing up through the ventilation system, through small cracks within doors or the cavity wall. And the walls are definitely not rotted after 20 years in the apocalypse, and no one's going to wander down there after not being told about how dangerous these spores are or about their existence, or there's going to be no infected or rat kings or anything like that capable of bursting in through doors. So don't worry about that, guys. Nothing's going to happen because we need this hospital so goddamn bad that it's an idea that we leave all our sick and ambulatory people in very close proximity to each other when there's literally this airborne virus that we don't understand, sorry, airborne fungus that we don't understand, that turns people into cannibals capable of infecting other people and turning them into cannibals and turning this entire area into some weird kind of mushroom cannibal fucking party. Cool. I'm glad we're all up to date. So they need that hospital. They're not going to evacuate it and send in their team of specialized badasses with flamethrowers and explosives and what else. Or send in your worst people, send them in as kind of a trial by fire, and hopefully they make it out of there. If they don't, I mean, what you lost? You've lost your worst soldiers. I mean, I know that's kind of mean, but it's the bloody apocalypse, and apparently, since we're talking about the trolley problem with this woman sacrificing her son, I mean, it's the apocalypse, guys. Well, fuck it, send in the Seraphites. You got plenty of them captured naked about the place, so, I'm sure some of them would, jump at the chance that, well, maybe not jump at the chance. Some of them would still have a bit of will to live and would be happy they're no longer being tortured by Isaac. Maybe I have gone insane reviewing this. It's sending me into a bleeding egg person. All right, enough on the hospital. I didn't think it was possible to have a worse scene than Joel getting taken out by a golf club, but here we are. The scene when Dina tells the alien impersonator or whatever she is that she's pregnant instead of Ellie basically saying, well, you're useless now, you're a liability, the triple fuck are you doing? Ellie then says, I'm going to be a dad. And I know everyone's saying, oh, it was a joke, but Dina straight away just goes, oh, yeah. I mean, just watch this scene here.
I'm gonna be a dad. Yeah.
Yeah, it totally seems like she was joking. It's also jokes around with that there's a potential that Jesse's not in fact dad either. Now, just thinking this, right? Jesse's still alive, yet Ellie's already claiming that she's going to be heavily involved within that child's life in a parental way. That's kind of fucked up. Then the mom, instead of going, look, no, here's what's actually going to go down, you fucking psychopath, she just agrees with it. And like I say, if Dina's willing to say that type of stuff and go on a revenge quest when she has a suspicion that she's pregnant, well, yeah, maybe she is insane. There's also the bit where Dina's actually acting like she's the only one taking this mission seriously when she's trying to do the triangulation and mapping and everything else and figuring out where the WLF people could potentially be. Ellie just fucks off to go play guitar and is dead chipper about everything. It's, ugh, I don't know. You kind of run out of words for this type of stuff, and other people have said it far better than me, but I'm also going to add this other little tidbit of info. So, if Dina is pregnant right now, that's a liability for obvious reasons, and she'll get tired a lot quicker. The chance she could lose the baby. And the thing that a lot of people don't know about if they haven't been parents is that pregnant women suffer from a condition known as pregnancy brain, where because a lot of your calories and everything else is going to growing a baby, your body puts most of its work into that, so you don't have as much cognitive function or physical ability as you used to have. So the fact that Dina's using all her brain power to build the baby, and then she's expected to make correct calls when it comes to triangulating the position of the WLF is also pretty stupid as well. Ellie should be one of the ones realizing that and should be double checking her work, going through it with a fine tooth comb. We all make mistakes, but especially when you've got pregnancy brain, trust me, it is a lot easier for you to be forgetful and neglect a small detail. Not ragging on pregnant women, which I am, by the way. The two before this, they've scoped out a radio tower, and it's meant to be a wolf hotspot. They go in and find a bunch of slaughtered wolves that have been dispatched in a very unkind, very mean way. And then some other wolves come back in. They're patrolling about, looking for potential seraphites. And this one tactical genius decides he's not going to check his corner, and Ellie kills him. Somehow, the tiny, small girl is able to kill this fully grown man by choking him out, and the grown man can't get her off. She's not been stabbed or anything. He's just really, really shit at his job. Or Ellie's plot armor, one of those. So Ellie and Dina jump out. They end up in an underground station, and Ellie pulls some sweet gunfighting moves and some sweet gunfighting faces and takes a bite for Dina. Dina then understands that Ellie has been bitten, knows she's now infected, and then wants to kill her. And then Ellie decides she's going to go to sleep for a while, and Dina's going to watch over her to make sure she doesn't turn into a runner. Okay, a few things on that scene. I thought it was dead cool that someone hits the tendrils and all the infected come sprinting out. That had all the makings of a really cool moment, only to be ruined by, well, everything else in the show. There's also the fact that they get through the subway, and the first place they choose to hole up in is that opera theatre, and they are, I don't know, about 2 minutes away from a subway that had over 100 infected in it. I mean, not being funny, I would have just kept fucking running until I found a better safe harbor, but who knows, maybe I'm not math-minded as these two girls. After realizing how heavily pregnant Dina is, Ellie persuades her to come along on another run, and they end up encountering some stalkers, which is probably one of the most dangerous forms of the infected that there is. Ellie and Dina say their last goodbyes to each other, share a kiss. Dina runs off to go hide in a cage and fight them off, while Ellie stands in the middle and gets bitten to fuck. Dina runs out of ammo, only to be saved by this absolute hunk of beef right here, known as Jesse. Jesse actually comes prepared with a long barreled rifle and has the stalkers for fucking breakfast and saves both the girls' life and decides to take the genius idea of running away from the wolves straight into their spotlight, into the park, and then a lot of them wait around while they see the Seraphites doing some executions. Instead of using that as a good excuse to sneak by unnoticed, they then decide that they're just going to hang around and watch. And then when the Seraphites actually follow them, instead of picking them off silently because these people are walking around at night with torches and you are not, therefore putting you at the advantage, you decide that you're going to run away from them again. It even gets worse from here in that Jesse had followed their trail and somehow made it through all the infected in the subway station or whatever the fuck happened to find their map and figure out where they were going. Alright, that's mission failure then, because if someone can follow on and literally find a map that you've left behind and figure out exactly where you are, where your main base of operations is, and where you're going, then you fucked up in ways you have no idea how badly you have fucked up. This is like the wolves assuming that nobody else is going to be listening in to their radio communications because Scar see radios as the devil and would never use them. Is once again such insane plot convenience, lazy writing, and just shows how incompetent that both Ellie and Dina are. And I'm not even confident that either of these two would survive the apocalypse. I don't think they would survive the fucking modern day, if you ask me. But, hell, what do I know? I think we've only got 10 minutes left of this video to go before I, well, exit. Alright, next. Also, in the beginning, before Joel gets the shaft or the club or the shaft of the club, we have him going through this twisted therapy session where the therapist is telling him that she can't be arsed with him and has been drinking heavily all day and she needs to get something off her chest because otherwise it will kill her. And she says that she hates Joel and everything he stands for and for him to go fuck himself and everything would be better if you just died, you piece of shit. Yet, here Joel is, a valued member of the community, does one of the most dangerous jobs, is brother to the second in command of said community after his bitch wife, and he's also, bear in mind, paid you in weed, which can't be hard to come by, a large amount of weed, by the way, and you just, what, use this to vent your own fucking scrupulences? I think I definitely made that word up. I don't care, I'm leaving it in so you guys can make fun of me in the comments. The main point I'm saying is Joel should have just gone, right, look, you fucking bitch. I'm fucking paying you in this fucking weed right here to psychoanalyze my brain and make me better and etc etc. But instead you're going on about how my problems aren't fucking important enough because your husband got some kind of disease and I had to put him out of his misery. Well, laddie fucking die, you dumb cunt. Everyone's got their own problems. You're literally paid to listen to them and you do fuck all else. So here's an idea. How about you fucking go fuck yourself. I'm taking my weed and pissing off. That's what he should have said. That's what he should have done. That's what my Joel would have done. Not this Pedro Pascolius or whatever. It's just. Yeah, I'm fucking done with this show. I think I've covered all bases there, and God knows where the show is going to go next. I mean, is there any positives so far? I mean, I can't think of any. By this rate, they'll end up bringing Tess back or something mental. But who knows? We got the flashback episode coming on whatever fucking day this comes out, and I'm sure there's going to be 20 billion fucking other videos in front of this one that you're going to see. So I guess no one in my real life is going to mention to me about my olive oil addiction or scrupulences or my inability to speak properly. So by that margin, I reckon I'm pretty safe. So till next time, if you want to diss the video, by all means go below. If you want to do all the liking and sharing and subscribing and bell notifications, believe you me, on my end, it helps out a lot. Don't feel like you have to. Just watching the videos enough for me. Alright. Till next time, endure and survive.